Well, no, it's Lazy Oaf.
The lazy oaf. Not Mir Zommers. It's the name of a place. Hello, everybody.
The Lazy Oaf Lounge in Madison. I have a gift card for there
Do you really?
for some reason.
Oh, all right.
And we have about 30 seconds.
Fantastic.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with fantastic producer and engineer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this TGIF edition. It is Friday, February 7th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Glad to be with you. Overcast skies here at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison. Zommers, we've made it to the end of another week.
We sure have. And just one note for something I just saw right now. So Todd standing in front of me past the window in the studio at a table. And the cord for his headphones is coiled.
Yes.
And below the table, I saw it hanging in front of his jeans, and it looked like a wallet chain. And I was like, Todd, have you gone to Hot Topic in the year 2003 or what? I was confused for a very brief moment.
I usually get to trends late, but no, just the old microphone.
No,
cord.
it's the cable.
But it would not be out of line for me to come to something late as it turned out. Big show today, by the way. Coming up at 12:30, our longtime friend, ongoing contributor, former Wisconsin Badger football player, 3-time Big Ten champion, and spent 3 years in the NFL. Mr. Brady Ewing will join us for his bi-weekly segment, talk a little football, Badger style. The fullback is back at Wisconsin this fall. Talk to him about that as one of the finest fullbacks to ever play the game at Wisconsin. Also get his take on Wisconsin Badger basketball. More on that in just one moment. And we'll also talk Super Bowl with Brady as well and ask him what he learned while he was at Wisconsin and in the NFL in terms of, learning from people different than us who grew up in Richland Center and what lessons that he got out of that for life as he continues to go around the state of Wisconsin and talk to young people, mentor them, and motivate them on how they can become not just better athletes, but better people as well. So Brady Ewing coming up at the bottom of this hour. And then right away, right off the bat in hour number 2, just after 1 o'clock, our very own sports reporter, Mike Clemens, is live in NOLA, New Orleans, for the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Mike Clemens will join us live, tell us the latest on what's going on, Super Bowl and the Super Bowl down there, who is in, who is out. He does not do predictions, but we'll get keys to the game. Keys to the game from Mike Clemens coming up after the top of the hour. Of course, our edition of What's Worse today having to do with pizza. Pizza. You can go, we have a new poll online on our Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You can check out the pizza poll there. And we're also going to try something new, apparently, a live poll in the show. So more on that in hour number 2. And then at 1:30, our old friend and ongoing contributor, the managing editor of EPOM's World, Mr. Peter Rapine, in with the look at the wild and wacky of human behavior and the week in review. Big show.
Oh, yes. It is stacked.
It is. It is stacked. It is jam-packed. And I said, speaking of Badger Sports, you can hear Badger Sports across the Civic Media Radio Network. Coming up tonight, hockey. Men's hockey, I believe it is. Penn State at Wisconsin. Broadcast starts at 6:30. You can hear it on Wisconsin Rapids Radio, WFHR, AM and FM. And you can also stream it on the Civic Media app. It is free. It won't cost you a thing. Download it to your Apple or Android device. The Civic Media app. Listen to WFHR up in Wisconsin Rapids for Badger hockey at 6:30 tonight. And then tomorrow, as Mike Clemens has been reporting, our great sports reporter, Wisconsin goes to the Evil Frans. No, I just say that. Their coach's first name is Fran, and he has a very short fuse, and so when he has a temper tantrum, oftentimes he'll get a technical foul.
And it's a frantrum, yes.
A frantrum, yes, a frantrum. So
seems to be a common trait in sports coaches.
Yeah, what's the over/under on a frantrum in terms of when it will happen? Oftentimes in the first half. So Wisconsin travels to Iowa tomorrow. Pregame show kicks off at 11 a.m. across the stations in Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Kenosha, Racine, and Wisconsin, and Richland Center. They're all at Wisconsin, Todd. And Richland Center as well. And of course, you can hear that game for free on the Civic Media app as well on any one of those stations. Again, pregame show, Wisconsin at Iowa men's basketball, 11 a.m. on what will be a snowy Saturday. Tip-off time just after 12 noon. And then more hockey at Wisconsin Rapids, Penn State at Wisconsin on the Wisconsin Rapids stations tomorrow night. So that'll be fantastic. And if you're in the old hometown back in Richland Center in southwest Wisconsin, they're going to carry the Super Bowl. How about that? Kansas City at Philadelphia, 1 o'clock pregame broadcast starts. That is only on the over-the-air station in Richland Center on Sunday. We are not allowed to stream that. All sorts of other legalities and complications. And so because it turns out it's much more than a statewide contest. That's a bigger deal, the Super Bowl. But
just a little bit.
But if you're in the listening area in southwest Wisconsin, tune it in on WRCO 100.9 FM in Richland Center, the Super Bowl. I believe we've gone through the entire Civic Media sports calendar for the weekend. So there you go. I am in, and Zomers is in as well. Different shades of red today. If you're watching on the stream, and you can always watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. We're on the stream. We are both in red today. And as it turns out, today is National Wear Red Day. It's always the first Friday of February. It's an annual campaign to raise awareness about heart disease in women. And
I totally did this on purpose, for sure, definitely.
You just happened to wear red today?
Yeah.
Well, I was filling in this morning. I've been up since like 4:30. So it's odd when you get up at 4:30. By the time you get to noon, you're like, wow, I put in a day's work already. I was filling in with Greg Bach, a wonderful, wonderful man. And we were doing the Up North News radio show, but we don't call it that when Kreitl's not there. We call it Civic Media This Morning. So I was filling in this morning with Greg Bach, and I'd given him the heads up to wear red today, and I forgot to tell it to you. But look, you showed up in a shade of red anyway.
It all worked out.
It all worked out, didn't it, Sam? Hans Lenzlinger. Anyway, in the National Camp Wear Red Day, because what we hear so often is women, lots of women in my life, family, friends, and women will, they like to be the caregivers, the providers, the people that take care of others. So oftentimes when they're not feeling well, they just dismiss it. Well, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Well, I'm going through something, bodily function, or I'm, I just had kids, or I'll be. They don't put themselves first. They take care of other people. And today is a great day to remember and to remind our women in our lives to take care of themselves. And remember, because heart disease is the number one killer of women in the United States. The campaign reminds them to learn their risks for heart disease and to take steps to lower their risk, which increases a woman's chance of the heart disease. Of course, things you could do, stop smoking if you're smoking. That's pretty low-hanging fruit there. A sedentary lifestyle. A family with a history of diabetes, stress, inflammatory diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, and Crohn's complications during pregnancy and menopause, all those can contribute to heart disease.
One thing that I know is helpful for me, now I'm only 26, and sometimes I still have trouble, remembering to be active for various reasons. But I got a Fitbit.
I saw that today. And is that new?
I bought it for myself for Christmas.
All right.
So not brand new. And you can configure how many steps per hour, how many steps per day you want to take, and it'll make recommendations based on the information you feed in, like your weight, your age, all that kind of stuff. And for me, at the last 10 minutes of every hour, so like at 12:50 coming up later. It'll buzz and be like, hey, you didn't get enough steps this hour. And just that little extra reminder in this age where we're so hooked on our phones and electronics, something to pull you out of that and remind you, hey, walk around, bozo, is very helpful for me.
It's interesting you bring that up because I put on a little weight the last few months. I put on like 10 pounds. I'm like, what is going on? What's going? Well, I looked at my iPhone, and much like you, that like calculates. So I was averaging between this summer and the 1st of December, I was averaging 5,362 steps a day. Not great, but whatever. I've gone from averaging 5,362 steps a day since the election down to 2,235.
That's not ideal.
That is not, because all I do is I get up, I come in, I sit, I get ready for the show. I stand for 2 hours during the show. Then I sit and do post stuff and get ready for tomorrow's show. Then I go home and I sit down and I eat. I watch some TV. I sleep and I start it all over again. I have got to get off my sorry keister and start doing some stuff.
It's hard in winter.
I know, but it's been a combination for me between winter and just,
dealing with everything going on in the world.
Dealing with the news and absorbing it. But that's a great reminder. So it's National Wear Red today, in particular, as a reminder to what women can do to bring awareness about heart disease in women. So there's that. Also, it's Bubblegum Day. Are you a bubblegum chewer?
Not really, no.
No, neither am I. What else is it today? Oh, it's National Fettuccine Alfredo Day.
Well, that's tasty.
Right. And it's National Send a Card to a Friend Day.
I will probably not be doing that, but maybe.
I need to do more handwritten notes. I need to do more of that.
See, my handwriting is terrible, so
all right.
I usually don't do that. But
we can all do something.
Yes.
I want to get to one important news story here today. We're going to start this and we'll finish it up after the break. There was a forum held yesterday here in Madison by WisPolitics.com, great news service owned by Jeff Mayers, who I've known a long time. They do great work, great legit reporting where they don't take sides. They just report the news. And there was a story in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today about a forum that they had yesterday. Headline, State Superintendent skips forum while her challengers take questions on vouchers and more, by Kelly Meyerhofer and Hope Carnop. Says 2 candidates in the state superintendent race took questions on school funding, vouchers, and teacher shortage solutions at what's believed to be the only forum featuring multiple candidates ahead of the February 18th primary. That's right, there's a primary coming up a week from Tuesday on February 18th. Missing from yesterday's event, current superintendent Jill Underly, who is seeking re-election. The 2 candidates who did show up were Sauk Prairie School District Superintendent Jeff Wright, who's been on this program, and also the Republican, challenger, education consultant Brittany Kinzer, calls herself a moderate but is being backed by Republicans. So I'll kind of summarize this in this article talking about Jill Underly said that she first, West Politics gave all the candidates a choice of dates. She didn't get back to them, and then claimed she had other meetings and didn't show up. We'll get more into this on the other side, because I think this is important, and tell you what the candidates who did show up said. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Friday, February 7th, right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
What is going on with Dr. Underly?
She's going under.
I'm
It seems that way.
I don't know.
Let's recombobulate.
I don't know.
Donald Trump is president again, and Democrats need to take a new approach to combat this presidency. Part of that is recognizing the realignment of how we arrived here. In last year's election, one thing Trump did successfully.
Okay, Google,
was
does
turn
Kanye
out
West have
people
any
who might
songs
not
about
otherwise
school?
vote. In Wisconsin, he increased
not-
his vote share
I know.
in all 72 counties en route to the largest popular vote total in state history. How did he do this? Well, as I see it, there are 2 factions of Republicans. One is the more traditional country club Republicans. The other is the newer group, what I'm calling the pro-wrestling Republicans. In my latest column, I wrote about how Donald Trump transformed the party by prioritizing the pro-wrestling Republicans, and why recognizing this new reality is critical to Democrats' ability to grab a steel chair of their own and fight back. Subscribe and read it now at the Recombobulation Area.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 W.
Wherever you may be and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 21 past the hour of 12 noon on this Friday, February 7th, 2025. Glad to have you along, Zommers and Allbaugh. Coming up at the bottom of the hour or just thereafter, Mr. Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion for Wisconsin football, spent 3 years in the NFL. Talked to us a little bit about some of the changes at Wisconsin football during the offseason, what he learned in his time. Both of us grew up in small-town Richland Center. What he learned being on a Division I football program like Wisconsin and in the NFL from people that, might not be like us. There are lessons there to learn. And talk a little bit about the Super Bowl as well. Then Mike Clemens live from the Super Bowl after the top of the hour. Want to get back to this story we were talking about in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel yesterday. WisPolitics.com held a forum, likely to be the only forum for the position of state school superintendent of public schools here in Wisconsin. And the incumbent, Dr. Jill Underly, did not attend. Her challengers, Democrat Jeff Wright, who is a Sauk Prairie School District superintendent, and education consultant Brittany Kinzer, being backed by Republicans, both did show up. WisPolitics President Jeff Mayer said he provided 2 dates to the campaigns. Kinzer and Wright, quote, responded right away and chose February 6th. Underly said she had a conflict. Mayer said WisPolitics asked for alternative dates, but her campaign did not provide them. Underly's campaign said she was unavailable to attend the University of Wisconsin's Board of Regents meeting. The DPI superintendent, by virtue of their position, serves as a regent. So Dr. Underly said she couldn't be either place, so she missed part of at least the board's meeting that was yesterday. And then she held a press conference at 10:30 in Madison to discuss Head Start programs that are seeing their funding cut under Trump. Important, definitely. But why would they schedule it when she had 2 other things that she could have been at, when the press conference could have been done anytime? So anyway, the WisPolitics forum took place between noon and 1, which, of course, overlaps the Board of Regents' scheduled lunch break, which is held here in Madison. So, I mean, look, I work for politicians, for elected officials. She could have done both if she wanted to. It appears a pretty deliberate decision by Dr. Underly not to be there. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. As someone myself who ran twice for state assembly, candidate forums are important. Debates are important. And if you're going to run for public office, in my opinion, you should show up and answer questions. Anyway, those who did show up were Wright and Kinzer. One of the questions was, should public schools, or do public schools need more money? Jeff Wright said yes, pointing to the increase in number of school districts going to referenda to pay for schools to stay open. He said the amount schools receive for special education must increase, but he said schools do not need $4 billion from the state surplus, as Jill Underly has called for in her budget request. Again, that's basically all of the surplus in the state of Wisconsin coffers. And I think utterly trying to get all of that, one of my former bosses like to say, remember, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. In other words, don't be too greedy. And I just think trying to say I want all of the $4 billion for DPI is getting pretty greedy. So here you got Jeff Wright. And by the way, Jeff Wright, who's been in this program, running as a Democrat. He's run for state assembly before as a Democrat. But he comes from Sauk County, a very purple politically county just below Wisconsin Dells. And in order to get things done, which he has a record of getting things done at the Sauk Prairie School District, he has had to show that he can listen to, understand, and work with people of all political stripes, which he's gotten done. So that's why I'm just really impressed by Jeff Wright. So Kinzer, the Republican candidate, said she also supports increasing special education reimbursement rates as well as more money for rural schools' transportation needs. She called for more budget transparency to ensure more money goes to classrooms, not the bureaucracy. Probably the question that really showed the difference between the candidates that did show up yesterday at the WisPolitics Forum was another question in the lightning round asked whether Act 10 should be repealed, the Scott Walker legislation from the early 2010s, which cut funding for public education and took away bargaining rights for teachers and public employees in the state. The 2011 law banned most collective bargaining among public employees, decimating the size and power of teachers' unions. The state Supreme Court is going to weigh in on a lawsuit that could determine the future of collective bargaining for public workers in Wisconsin. And Kinzer, the Republican, said the law should not be repealed, while Jeff Wright, one of the Democratic candidates, said yes, that it should be repealed. I mean, right there, that's the headline as far as I'm concerned. That tells you exactly where these two candidates are at. Because at the end of the day, there is a teacher shortage, and we've talked about our program. I know Jane and Greg have talked to Matt and Air on Air. Pat Kreitlow's talked to his program. Part of the reason that it's getting difficult to recruit people to go into education is because of the low pay, and now making it even harder and more expensive to get benefits. So pay has been cut or not increased like the private sector anymore. And also people having to pay thousands of dollars from their salary for their insurance. So that means their salaries are going even further down. So Jeff Wright, superintendent of Sauk Prairie Schools, is like, yeah, we should get rid of Act 10 so that we can support education. Kinzer, the Republican, said the law should not be repealed. Dr. Underly, the incumbent, was a no-show, so she's not on the record here. Also, a question was asked in the lightning round about the closure of the possible closure of the U.S. Department of Education by Trump. Wright expressed doubt about shutting the department down. He said there are big questions that haven't been answered yet, such as which agencies absorb financial aid, Title I funding, and more. Kinzer said so long as Wisconsin continues to receive the federal education funding it currently receives, that she is open to the changes. Again, pretty telling there. All right, that's kind of the highlights from yesterday's WisPolitics Forum on DPI. Come on back. Talk to Brady Ewing on the other side. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show right here for a Friday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison, real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Recently, the global dairy trade opened up, and currently, trade is a huge topic in this country. I'm Ben Jarbo at the Midwest Farm Report, and Matt Tranel, the Senior Dairy Market Advisor with Everag, is here to explain what the global dairy trade looks like early on.
Overall, global dairy
she
trade,
wanted to bring up the
auction went up
voucher issue and how,
3.7% overall.
if you want to do that
And,
before the discussion,
a
or
lot
else
of
I
the
can
major
run on.
players
Just
and
tell her I really
products
just say Please let her know
make
that
up
normally
that
Todd would go
particular
back to that, but
session.
because
We're
we have a
all,
scheduled guest, we need to
stronger
go on to the next
Okay.
topic.
in a,
But
in
I'll
a,
let her know.
in a,
we'll
in a
we'll
nice
certainly
way.
be talking about this
So
again. She's
skim
welcome to
milk
call back
powder
next time we
was
talk
up
about it.
3.9%.
Okay.
Whole
I
milk
will
powder
call
was up
Brady first, get him ready to go,
4.5%.
and then I'll let her know.
Those two
Thank you.
products alone make up over 75% of that particular auction. Cheese was up 3.7%. Butter was up 3.4%. And anhydrous milk fat was up 2.3%.
Tranel says that if these upward prices continue, then that could prove very good for the U.S. dairy industry. From the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at those midday markets right after this.
If you milk with robots, you know that cow flow is everything. Cow Corner Consulting helps you maximize cow flow by working with your team to improve your barn workflows, your feed management, and your system settings. Visit cow-corner.co to learn how. Cow Corner is an independent consulting company and works with all brands of robots. They're ready to go to work for you. Sign up for the free e-newsletter or contact John Gerbitz at cow-corner.co.
Come on along. We're headed to the Canadian Rockies. I'm Pam Yankee, inviting you to join me July 26th through August 4th. We'll begin at Calgary's Living History Museum. Then it's off to Banff for a guided tour. Next, we board a Via Rail train for phenomenal views of the Canadian Rockies. Off to Vancouver for award-winning wines at Lulu Island Winery. Then we ferry to Vancouver Island to visit a bison ranch and a dairy farm. Go to holidayvacations.com, enter keyword Pam to get a brochure or watch a travel show.
Welcome back. I'm Ben Jarbo at the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's see what those markets are looking like midday on a Friday. It looks like the markets are going to end on a bit of a sour note this week as cash corn is down 7 1/4 at $4.88 and new crop corn is down 4 1/4 at $4.65 1/2. Cash soybeans are down 9 3/4 at $10.50 3/4 and new crop soybeans are down 7 1/4 at $10.58 3/4. March wheat contracts are trading down 3 1/2 at $5.84 1/4 and July wheat is down 2 1/4 at $6.07 3/4. Class 3 milk isn't looking too much better as March contracts are down 9 cents at $19.97 a hundredweight and April contracts are down 10 cents at $19.57 a hundredweight. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Partly sunny and rather pleasant today, with highs nearing 30. Small chance of snow moves in overnight tonight, but really no accumulations are expected. Tomorrow, though, light snow continues with less than an inch of accumulation likely. It'll be overcast and cloudy with highs at 30. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 20 degrees.
I'm hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
I could really go for some of that 12-hour smoked pulled pork.
Ooh, and some pasta. Okay, now I'm hungry. Sugar River, here we come.
And they have that great kids menu, too.
We don't have any kids.
Right. That's beside the point. The point is, I'm hungry, you're hungry.
Let's go.
Yes. And we should talk about having some kids.
Get in the car, Bob.
We should talk
Sugar
about
River,
having
Sun
some
Prairie,
kids,
Verona,
Gordy.
New Glarus, and catering.
I'm going to ask you
The
Catherine
John and
about
Gordy
that.
Show.
Get in the car, Bob.
They're going to have
Schlecker.
kids.
You know, we've been on AI for a long time.
What can you
It's
now
just a
do
character.
with data? You know, ask AI. Say,
I had
based on what we know
breakfast
about
with
Gordy,
John and Gordy and Catherine
based on
and
what we know
Sam
about the job
Davison
market,
today.
what should Gordy
Ooh, I
do
bet
for
that
the
was
rest
nice.
of his
At
life?
Send him to
Short Stack.
broadcast school.
We went to Short Stack. Our waitress was only about 4'2".
He's worthless.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX.
Yes, that was very delayed.
That was
I
very
know.
delayed, yeah.
Hopefully, unlike your service.
To this day, when I hear that song, I see you standing there on that lawn. Discount shades, store-bought tan, flip-flops and cut-off jeans. Somewhere between that setting sun, I'm on fire, I'm born to run. You looked at me and I was done, but we were just getting started. I was singing
Welcome back to the
you
Todd
the
Allbaugh Show
same
on the
way
Civic
I
Media
was
Radio
so
Network on
alive
Friday,
for
February
love.
7th. It is 34 minutes past the hour of 12 noon on this Friday. Zomer's on the board. Our favorite 34, at least he wore the number when he played for the Wisconsin Badgers for 4 years in the fullback position. He won 3 on teams that won 3 Big Ten championships and played in 3 Rose Bowls, was the captain of the team his senior year, and then spent 3 years in the NFL for Atlanta and Jacksonville. He joins us from our mutual hometown, Richland Center in beautiful Southwest Wisconsin, Mr. Brady Ewing. Brady, how the heck are you?
Doing great, Todd. How are you doing?
You know, always better when you're here on a Friday. It's I don't have to worry about this half hour. It's like, oh, I'm just going to have a conversation with a friend, and everybody gets to listen into it. So, it's pretty low stress for me.
I like it. Yeah, big weekend ahead in sports too. Plenty to talk about with Super Bowl, obviously, and Badger basketball and all that fun stuff. So excited to catch up with you.
Yeah, me too. I want to begin somewhere. And, we're pretty careful. We keep things nonpartisan, and we'll stay that way in this segment. But I think it's just instructive for people in this day and age. I'll just put it that way. Because you and I have had discussions. I know part of what people aren't aware, one of the really cool things that you're doing with your life right now in your private time is you're going around and talking to our young athletes, our high school athletes all around the state of Wisconsin. And if someone wants to, hire you and have you come in and talk to them, they can find you on the socials at Brady. It's Bradie. Brady Ewing. You're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. It's BEwing34, and reach out and get a hold of you. And I highly recommend people do. But one of the things that you have talked about, I like to just, if you would be so kind as to give us here on the show a little bit of insight into this. You and I both grew up in the same hometown, Richland Center. I'm a lot older than you, but I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I wrote a column this week about going to the campus there and what it meant to have the Central American Scholarship Program of folks from Central America come to Richland Center, and how it really exposed me to different views and different ideas, and it changed my life. I would like you, Brady Ewing, to give us a sense, coming from the same hometown and coming to Madison and playing in a Division I football program and then in the NFL. What was it like for you to be exposed to people different than you, and what did you learn from it?
Man, awesome question. I actually been doing a little bit of a series on some of the social platforms about what I learned from being an athlete. And this is something I talked about a little bit that came to mind. And it was such a blessing to me coming from Richland Center. I love being from small town Wisconsin, love our community, the support they showed, but you're also, living in an area where there's not a ton of diversity and there's not a lot of different viewpoints and perspectives on life. And so to come to a place like Madison, not only from a school perspective where you're meeting people from all over the world, but from a football team standpoint, you come into a locker room and you're meeting people from Texas and Florida and, Haiti, people that have different cultural backgrounds, different family backgrounds, different beliefs, different, cultures that they come from. And it was so eye-opening and amazing for me to be able to develop relationships with them, get to know them and their perspectives on life because of the experiences they had that shaped them and the people they were around as they grew up. It was really great in my personal development to have that and to just grow my perspective and open my eyes to a world that's bigger than, Southwest Wisconsin.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. What do you think the biggest thing was that you learned about yourself in all of that, whether it was at Wisconsin or whether it was in Atlanta or Jacksonville, being in the league? What's the thing that you learned about yourself from being around folks that were different than you?
That I would say, I guess it's not necessarily about myself, but just the fact that we're all so similar. Like I think of when I went to Wisconsin, was in a locker room, you're looking up to guys that I was still, looking up to and watching when I was in high school, and all of a sudden you're in a locker room with them and you can get to know them personally. And similarly, when I jumped to Atlanta in the NFL, you see Julio Jones, you see Tony Gonzalez, Matt Ryan in the locker room right there. You're having a conversation with them, and you just realize that at the deepest rooted way, like we're all so similar. Like we're just people. We've, been blessed with different experiences, different skill sets, and just me seeing that we're, all just people trying to do the best that we can in this world and finding those different common grounds that we can hold our hat on, because there's going to be differences, but yet we're also similar too.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Great question, Todd.
Well, I just, because we've had off the air conversations about this, and I just really appreciate that, because I think you hit it right. Is that when you're pulling for, and I think I've read Colin Powell's, the late great general and former Joint Chiefs of Staff, read his book, My American Story. I believe it's called My American Life. I can't remember the exact title, but in his book, he talks about the military being a place where people came from all different cultural and ethnicity backgrounds and whatnot. But when you're in a foxhole together, nobody really cares about that. It's just about doing your job. And obviously, professional sports isn't quite the level of being the military. It's not necessarily life and death, but it's still similar. And even in a college program, you're pulling towards one goal. And when you're unified, I mean, you're not looking to when you're trying to run a ball, Brady, on a play down the field, you don't care where the person came from or what religion they are or anything else.
Right.
Just block the other guy ahead of me so I can get through. Right? Do your job.
That's right. Yeah, and you're counting on people. You go through different experiences with, you use the example of being in a foxhole, but, with football, you go through experiences in the winter training that you go through, which is really, really difficult. You go through injuries. You go through the highs and lows of winning games, losing games. And to your point, at the end of the day, the best player is going to be out there that can execute, and you're looking for your teammate to do their job so that you can go do your job, and so that the team can have success and you can chase or accomplish those goals that you have all set out to do, whether that's individual goals or as a team.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this least common denominator where it's like, hey, do your job. We're a part of this together. We've, bled together on the practice field. We've sweat together. We've gone through all this adversity together. And that really has a way of forging relationships that transcend the differences that people could look at from an outsider's perspective. So,
yeah,
I'm super thankful for that opportunity that athletics has given me to bring down that barrier and that wall that I might have had just based on where we grew up.
And that, to me, that's the beautiful thing. And one of the main things that's so beautiful about athletics to me in sports is that you see people come together and work as a team and achieve something. And that is a skill that will serve them well as they go throughout their life, whether it's joining a company or an organization or whatever it is. When we are with people that we might not always agree with or be the same as us, how do we put those things aside and make our differences our strength for our organization?
Absolutely. And how can that perspective or that difference in opinion on a topic, whether it's, like you said, whether it's at work and you're trying to execute a project and somebody has a different thought process on how it can be done.
Yeah.
Are you open-minded enough to challenge yourself to say, okay, is my thought process always the right thought process? Or what can I take from this person? Maybe we don't agree on, this, and this, but for this project, hey, they bring a really good perspective where let's try implementing that, or this part of it, let's add it to the plan.
Yeah.
And so valuing those differences to open up your own perspective and challenge yourself a little bit so that the best idea and project can go get executed.
I couldn't not agree with you more, Brady. Well said. And again, I know that in your free time, what little you have between your 4 boys, your wife, and the rest of your family, you're going out and speaking to schools. I hope that people reach out and have you come in, because you have so much to say beyond just the X's and O's. It's really the life lessons I think that I find so fascinating about the work that you're doing. Speaking of the X's and O's, though, Brady, you sent me this article this week. You have to be absolutely over the moon. We've spent a little time on this segment beating up on Badger football here. Here is something that's good news. The new offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, the fullback, is back for the Badgers, Brady.
Let's go. I know. I know we were texting about it earlier this week. I was super excited to see that. And, I just feel like there's something obviously have a personal connection with the fullback, but even growing up before I got to spend some time at Wisconsin, it was such a pivotal part of the offense. And no matter what offense you're running, having that H-back or the fullback guy that can move around the backfield provides a different dimension that a lot of teams haven't had to prepare for recently. And I kind of draw back to the parallel when Michigan came to the Big Ten when I was in school. They were running, a 3-4 style defense versus the traditional 4-3 that most of the teams are running at the time. And now pretty much a lot of teams are running the 3-4 style, but at the time that was just different. And so it took a lot of preparation. It took a lot of focus to make sure that you understood your responsibilities so that you could go execute. And I feel like that is the fullback nowadays because a lot of teams just don't see that on a regular basis. And some of the plays and motions and things you can do out of those sets.
Well, I know that you've talked about it. Your brother Brandon, who's been on the program before, has talked about it. Guys like J.J. Watt and Joe Thomas have been on social saying a lot that Wisconsin football has seemingly lost its identity in the last couple of years. I think this is at least one step to retain or get that identity back, which is just smash mouth football, run the ball. Yes, incorporate some, maybe update it a little bit in terms of throwing it. But at the heart of it, Wisconsin offense, you just run it down people's throats.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, we've talked about it. The identity, I feel like, hasn't been there. And when I think back to the identity of Wisconsin football of old, at least on the offensive side, it was like we were just going to assert our will on the defense over time. Maybe in the first quarter, second quarter, you were getting, 3, 4, 5 yards, but all of a sudden, third and fourth quarter, you wear them down, you start popping some long runs. And oftentimes they would call out, where we were going to run the ball, especially late in the game. But we, a lot of times the defense couldn't stop it. And we were able to just out-physical them, outlast them mentally. And I feel like that encompasses, at least in my mind, everything that Wisconsin football has been historically since, the mid-'90s.
And, as Barry Alvarez once famously said about Ron Dane after he scored like 4 touchdowns by like, I don't know, the third quarter or whatever, he said, he's not even lathered up yet. He's not even lathered up. He's just getting warmed up. I mean, that's Wisconsin
Wait till
football.
he gets the sweat going.
Right, exactly. Quickly, Brady, this is one that shocked me. Apparently, Wisconsin football now has general managers. There's like this 24, 25-year-old kid, Max Steinecker, who was apparently the general manager of football, has been stolen or in the portal, not really a portal, but stolen away by USC. This kid's going to run the USC. Is this a thing now in college basketball in a minute here?
It must be. I mean, that must be the trend. It's fascinating to me because that was something I didn't even know Wisconsin had, especially, somebody of that age. Is just a little shocking that they have such a pivotal part in the program.
Right.
So,
It's
good for him. It sounds like he's a savant, but.
Oh, right. He's like the Doogie Howser of college football, apparently. I don't know. It's an old reference for some people. The wonderful Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris played this prodigy kid as a doctor called Doogie Howser. It's an old show.
Got it. Got it. You'll have to send me a link.
Yeah.
I'll have to do some research on that.
That's a joke for us people of a certain age. We're going to come back and talk to Brady Moore a little bit about basketball, Badger basketball. The Badgers are on a great run here, looking pretty good as they head towards the tournament time. And also, there happens to be a big football game coming up this week as well, a little a Super Bowl, as they say. So we'll come back and talk to Brady about the Super Bowl, get his predictions. Will it be the Kansas City Chiefs in their three-peat, or will it be the Dirty Birds? No,
the Ravens are the Dirty Birds.
Oh, okay, all right. The Philadelphia Eagles. Come on back. It's Brady, Todd, and Sommers on the Civic Media. Already know.
Springsteen.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
We've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays, but now we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Attention! If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may
dancing into the weekend. He's a mean line dancer, let me tell you. It is 9 minutes before the hour of 1 o'clock. And welcome back to the show. Zombers on the board. Three-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin Badgers, Brady Ewing, a great fullback, perhaps the greatest fullback in Wisconsin football history, is bringing back the fullback position. And we're thrilled about that. He also spent 3 years in the NFL and is an all-around great guy. Brady, welcome back to the show. We're always happy to have you here. The time always goes too fast, my friend. Wisconsin Badger football or basketball, pardon me. The Badgers are in action down at the Fran Trams in Iowa tomorrow, actually on Saturday, 11 o'clock broadcast start. Tip off with Iowa and Wisconsin at 12 noon. You can hear it on Brady and I's hometown station in Richland Center. Also, we're seeing Kenosha, Wisconsin Rapids, and Amory. Brady, Greg Gard got the Badgers looking pretty good.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing lately. Obviously dropped the game to Maryland maybe a week or two back, and in a tough opponent. But yeah, they're winning the games that they should win. I feel like they're doing it in good fashion. I like the way that they're incorporating outside game and getting a ton of people involved. I feel like there's so many weapons. It is tough to defend them. There's guys that can go off on different nights, and if Tanjay has an off night, another person will step up. So that's I think a signal of a great team. The fact that you have multiple guys that can step up on any given night, and you're not quite sure who it's going to be. So I love what I'm seeing there, and hope they can continue to grow and develop as the season progresses. It's almost March, man.
How exactly? And how about Carter Gilmore from Heartland, Wisconsin? A Wisconsin guy. He's a senior, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was a walk-on that earned a scholarship, just like you did in football. And boy, did he have himself a career night the other night, and literally just won that game for the Badgers. He got to go on TV after, and he guard waved him over, and he's like, wait, I get to go on TV? I never get to go on TV. He didn't know what to do. But how happy are you for a guy like Carter Gilmore?
I love it, and it was cool to see the fans getting into it, supporting him as the game progressed, and with the way that things are going too in college athletics with the revenue sharing and all of that, from what I understand, the walk-on tradition is going to be either extinct going forward or greatly minimized. So it's cool to see guys like that have lived through that era continue to have success. I definitely can relate to him in going from walk on and contributing to earning a scholarship. So I know that journey well, and it's a super rewarding one to kind of have your back against the wall and just continue to work to help your team find your role. And his roles grow. I think he's improved a ton. Since last year.
He really.
And
I went to the Ohio State game the other night, and I mean they got out to like a 21-3 lead. I mean Ohio State had to take 2 or 3 timeouts, and I looked up at the clock with my buddy Jeff, and there was still like 12 minutes to go in the first half. It was just crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I was at the Richland Center high school basketball game, the boys game that night, and Rachel was texting me updates because she was home with our youngest, putting him to bed. And I thought it was a typo when she sent me the score early in the first half. I'm like, what? That is quite the spread early in the game. But they definitely evened it out as the game went on, but it was a good win nonetheless.
It was 5 minutes before the hour, just like 3 minutes left here. But quickly, Brady, let's break down the Super Bowl this Sunday. And actually, WRCO, our hometown station, 100.9 FM in Richland Center, is going to carry the Super Bowl, so that'll be fun. It is, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs trying to go for an unprecedented three-peat in Super Bowls, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in a rematch of the Super Bowl from a couple of years ago. Give us some keys to the game, Brady.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, probably everybody sees, but how the line at the Eagles, gives Saquon some gaps to run in. I mean, that guy's so talented. If he gets into open space, he can make people miss. He can, do theatrical jumps and leaps to get some extra yards, and he's so tough to just bring down. He's got a great low sense of gravity. Can make some quick adjustments and moves. So I think that run game and being able to establish that early will be a big part to Philadelphia's success. As far as, the Chiefs, I always look at getting Kelsey involved in Mahomes and I think the more confidence, he's not going to be rattled in this game at all. Obviously they've been there, they've won the last 2. And so again, if you can get some pressure on him, he can run, but that slows down his arm, and I think that will be important for the Philadelphia defense. So I'm actually pulling for Philadelphia.
Are you?
It's nice to see somebody else win too. I got nothing against the Chiefs.
It's because you play for the Falcons and you're cheering for other birds. That's what it is.
That's exactly using elementary school analysis. That's what my kids would probably say for sure.
Well, that's about my level. Todd thinks that's why I liked hanging out at your son's the Brewer game. We're about at the same level.
No, I wasn't saying that, but I'm excited too. Or Brandon, I should say, would be excited for the Puppy Bowl. I don't know if you ever watched the Puppy Bowl.
Absolutely. I wish we were carrying that on civic media. Well, I'm pulling for the Chiefs just because I'd like to see the unprecedented happen. And the Philadelphia Eagle fans were terrible to some of our Packer fans when we were out there. So let's stick it to them. So I think it'll be close. I think it's going to come down to you watched that game against Kansas City and the Bills. It really came down to coaching. Some of those plays that Andy Reid drew up and Mahomes was able to execute. Yeah. I still think that Andy Reid is one of not the best coaches in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he has the ability to put some plays together that they haven't run all year, but they'll have something up their sleeve for this game. And to be able to go execute it on the big stage will be huge.
We're going to talk with Mike Clemens live from the Super Bowl right after the top of the hour, so stay tuned for that. But Brady Ewing, thank you. Have a great Super Bowl, and we'll see you around the neighborhood. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Brady Ewing, we appreciate his time. Stay tuned. Mike Clemens is next, live from New Orleans on the Civic Media Radio Network.
92.7 WMDX. Rational Revolution with Mark Becker.
Oh, that looked a little Mahomey.
My friend and national figure Adam Kinzinger in what will be certain to be an incredible conversation.
Rational Revolution with Mark Becker. Saturdays at 2, Sundays at 1 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Cam in Appleton texted in unrelated topics. He's working on some code for loading orders and objects and levels. He's working on a video game. And it has him thinking, how much debug code gets written for AAA titles like GTA 5 or Fallout? It has got to be astronomical. The amount of spaghetti code in big games like that.
Right? I have no idea what that means, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Southern California, residents marking 1 month since the deadly wildfires driven by hurricane-force winds broke out and devastated areas of L.A. County.
1 month later, efforts to remove fire debris are only just beginning. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass announcing the opening of a new one-stop center for Palisades residents to get answers and help rebuilding.
31 days since unprecedented fires engulfed our city.
Close to 30 people died in the wildfires. The causes of the two big and deadly fires have not yet been determined. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
President Trump amending his executive order on Chinese tariffs, postponing the imposed tariffs on low-value shipments under $800 from China. Northern California recovering from a round of heavy rain yesterday. 2 deaths in Sonoma County blamed on the deluge. And parts of the Midwest and Northeast bracing for another storm this weekend after an icy winter mix crippled states and triggered accidents. This is ABC News.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Wisconsin's top election official can stay at her post. The state Supreme Court released their opinion this morning. Republicans have targeted Administrator of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, Megan Wolf, for years. The administrator is basically the director of all the clerks in the state because we have about 1,800 of them who run elections at the local
He said
level.
the amount of security is just sad
Create the rules.
because there's
The
so
Wisconsin
much.
Elections
And it makes perfect
Commission does
sense.
that.
There has to be,
Instead,
but it's still
the
like, just
administrator is
wow.
the one who helps all these clerks interpret those decisions and implement them. Wolf was not nominated for another term, but she wasn't fired either. The bipartisan Wisconsin Elections Commission has the power to do both of those things. Republicans tried to fire her themselves in 2023 over false claims of election fraud in the 2020 presidential election. Now, it's really technical. The case involves state law, elections commission rules, and court precedent. But here's something we don't see too often. Our 7 justices on the state Supreme Court were unanimous. They all agreed that Wolf can stay on the job. And the State Assembly's Education Committee heard public comment on bills relating to curriculum, assessment programs, and school board spending yesterday. Brittany Merlot tells us more.
Assembly Bill 4 would require civics to be implemented in school curriculum in both public and private schools in elementary and high school grades. They want to teach students about their rights and responsibilities in both Wisconsin and the United States. High school students are already required by law to earn a certain number of credits to graduate, and this includes at least 3 credits of social studies. They also need to pass a civics test similar to that of the U.S. citizenship test.
State Superintendent Jill Underly says they've strengthened civics curriculum over the last few years already. And while she supports the intent of this legislation, she wants to have further discussions about funding for training and materials if they want to add more.
Why don't you leave your door open? Because like if you see Sage, I looked around, see he's gone. So like if you see him come in for lunch or whatever, just you ask him like, do we need to say anything or do anything, or just automatically is going to happen.
The Bucks play the Atlanta Hawks tonight at the State Farm Arena. New faces on the team, including Kyle Kuzma.
I don't want to. I'm not sure what to do. So I'm just going to continue per normal, unless I'm told otherwise. Gracias.
I'm thankful that I got to know him as the man that he is. I got to know his whole family, his wife and kids. I always love them. They'll always be special to me. I'm obviously going to miss him. It's going to be a huge adjustment. I wish him nothing but the best.
NFL Super Bowl 59 coming up this Sunday in New Orleans. Even though he's played in 5 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes says he still gets a little nervous before the kickoff.
You're going to have nerves before the game, just like any big game. I think if you don't have nerves, you don't love the game enough. I have a better feel for how the week goes.
I love his voice.
I know when the media is. I know when practice is. I have a better feel for the week, and I think that's helped me on being more settled throughout the week.
That's the Chiefs'
I can't
Patrick
do his
Mahomes.
voice, but
With
it's
sports, I'm Mike.
Well, when anybody asks me to do a Kermit voice,
Radio for you
It's
and
a
your
little bit like that, but
community.
it has the
It's
gravel
Civic
in it.
Media's mission
It does,
with
it
stations
does.
across Wisconsin.
and
Find
Cam,
your
I do not
favorites
know
at
anything about why she
civicmedia.us.
was
Partly
asking you
sunny
for
and
that
rather pleasant
information.
today, with highs nearing 30. Small chance of snow moves in overnight tonight. but really no accumulations are
I know
expected. Tomorrow,
Patrick
though,
Mahomes does
light
not
snow
totally
continues
sound like
with less
Kermit,
than an inch of
but
accumulation likely.
um,
It'll be overcast and cloudy with highs
last
at
year
30.
at last year's Super
I'm
Bowl, I had
meteorologist
never heard
Brittany
his voice
Rowell.
before.
Right now, it's
And then
20 degrees.
my friends kept asking me to say football stuff in a Kermit voice, and then after the game, I heard the interview with him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, now I understand."
Madison Computer Works has been doing that for business and residential customers for decades. Our computer care plans take away the hassle of being without your computer.
We've got some pretty good
for repair. Starting at
headlines
only
this week.
$10 a month,
All right.
Our local and friendly techs provide remote help and can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
There are solutions to the rot in the Supreme Court, and it's a congressional binding code of ethics. There are solutions to the corruption. It's a constitutional amendment to declare that money isn't speech and corporations aren't people, and we can do
About 30
this.
seconds.
These are things that...
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer and engineer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big broadcast on this TGI Friday, February 7th. 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Glad to be along with you here in downtown Madison, where it is overcast skies, looking for a snowstorm to come in over most of Wisconsin, at least the northern 2/3 of the state, maybe 7 to 8 inches up around places like Wausau maybe, but over into Eau Claire area, Chippewa Valley, lesser amounts to the south, so be aware of that. Zommers and I are also in red today for those watching on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and the like. National Wear Red Day, the first Friday of February, an annual campaign to raise awareness about heart disease in women. So always good reminder of that. It's going to be wintry here in Wisconsin tomorrow. Not so much where Super Bowl 59 is being held this year down in NOLA, New Orleans, wherever you want to call it. Our great sports reporter, friend, and ongoing contributor, Mike Clemens, is there at the site of Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans and joins us live via phone. Mike, we always appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. How are you, my friend?
Todd Allbaugh, I owe you an apology.
Why?
So I think I was at Ford Field, and it was Packers and Lions in December, like early to mid-December. And you said, hey, Mike, I want to play something for you. And you play a clip of an interview, like a podcast, with Matt Schneidman from The Athletic, and he's talking to Matt LaFleur, something they do with the Packers. And he says, hey, I want to show you something here. Have you seen these stats that Jordan Love's numbers go up, his efficiency, in the same month that the Toyota-thon is on?
Yeah.
And Matt looks at him like he's nuts, you know. And then Matt was like on a tear, like he's asking Jordan about this. And Jordan's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice, you know. And we're all kind of – now, listen, I love David Letterman humor, you know, or Conan O'Brien. Remember when Letterman used to do Lobster Fest?
Oh, yeah.
On Late Show?
Absolutely.
Hey, it's Lobster Fest. Just these blatant commercial drop-ins, right?
Right.
But to me, it's just like I didn't get the connection. My God, you know, they're in a battle for – a seed in the playoffs, and there's all this drama, and so I walk in back here to the NFL Media Center at about 5:30, 6 o'clock after people are running out to go to the NFL Honors Show and dinner. I turn the corner. There's this big set. It's got 4 different sets in a big square area where they've got Toyota products. It almost looks like a car show. Guess who's shooting a commercial for Toyota? Jordan Love.
Of course he is.
I'm like, oh my God, what? And he waves at me. He says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" You know. And so he goes, "Hang on a second." So he goes over there and he shoots these commercials, and then I'm talking to the people from Toyota, and they go, "Oh yeah, this is just unbelievable." He goes, "You know, it started with some Yahoo on TikTok who came up with that comedy bit,
right?
Made that connection. It kind of went viral." And then you got a reporter, you know, pouring fuel on the fire and asking LaFleur and Love about it. And they're like, I don't know, which even made it explode. And you guys like you playing on the radio, he got an endorsement deal because of that.
Isn't that great? I love that.
He's shooting Toyota commercials, man. And you know what? But seriously, Todd, that's one of the reasons I come here. Besides the game, besides covering the sport, you know, you covered the political conventions. You know that this is like the cutting edge of media,
right?
And you're finding out that's not so much reporters; it's influencers who are getting their credentials now, and it's not so much people that do like I do. I go and I interview and I look up facts and I put together stories and follow storylines. And sometimes people just sort of sit back and they go to Best Buy and they have a bunch of equipment and they stream their stuff and they see if they can come up with some conspiracy theory that goes viral. But or it gets Jordan Love a deal with Toyota. One of the two.
Well,
isn't that weird?
It is weird, but two things about that. Number one, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the statistics actually do match up with this. Now, of course, it's just a weird coincidence, obviously, but it's just odd that Jordan Love's numbers do better over the last couple of years when Toyota runs this Toyota-thon thing. So it's just odd and one of those freaky things that the numbers line up, number one. But number two, I find that very interesting what you just said, that you're seeing the same thing at a major event like Super Bowl 59 that we saw at the national political conventions, which is the the rise, if you will, of, I guess I'll call it, you know, for guys like you and I who came up with legacy traditional media, this kind of non-traditional or new media where it's just all on your phone and streaming and TikTok and stuff. These people have a huge reach in the political world, but Mike, you're saying you're seeing it in the sports world as well.
Yeah, but the difference is, and some of them have got sponsors now, okay? And the difference is, when I'm working for your show, I'm talking to Patrick Mahomes. I sat down with Oren Burks yesterday for about 20 minutes, a guy who had been drafted by the Packers, and I was surprised when he didn't re-sign. Well, he got a deal with the 49ers, and now he plays with the 49ers last year in the Super Bowl. Now he's playing this year for the Eagles. Wow. Or guys from back home like Zach Vaughn, you know, who plays high school football in Brown Deer, plays at Wisconsin, gets drafted by the Saints, not the Packers. The Saints ignore him for 4 years as a special teams player. Have you seen this dude play inside linebacker for Vic Fangio and the Eagles? Oh, my gosh.
Right. Just
and
crazy.
You start to wonder, maybe the Packers, that's the kind of stuff that we do as opposed to just sit back and, I don't know, read out a Pro Football Focus and make it up as we go.
Give us the lay of the land, Mike Clemens, sports reporter there on the ground in New Orleans. I heard that the security, of course, you know, on recent events, we expected tight security. It's been announced that President Trump is also going to be traveling there along with Speaker Mike Johnson. What's the lay of the land? What's the feel of the room down there, Mike?
You know, I'm getting used to the face image thing that I have to look into. I'm getting used to the detailed information I have to give. Almost like when I used to cover presidential visits, you know, Social Security number, background checks and all that. But to give you an idea, here's this media shuttle bus with about 8 or 9 of us knuckleheads in the media, and we're going to go over to the Eagles Hotel yesterday afternoon, and we stop. And there's this heavy metal, temporary, they can move it around, gate, okay, that keeps, you know, from a truck bomb like they had here a month ago in the weekend of the Cotton Bowl. That's up. But it's like, why, Sir Driver, why have you stopped? And I look, they've got bomb sniffing dogs going underneath the truck.
Wow.
The licensed registered media truck with a bunch of loonies from the media. And we've all had to go through security and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, no stone unturned. And it's just sad. You know, I remember it wasn't so long ago, you could go to Washington, D.C. and walk in the Capitol building like you're walking into the public library in Sun Prairie.
Yep.
And those days are gone. And that's the sad part. It's a reality between Oklahoma City, 9/11, another recent attacks. But it's just sad that the more that we build up these walls and security, it seems like the crazier the attacks become.
Yeah. It's certainly an unfortunate sign of the times we live in. About 3 minutes left here in our time together. Give our listeners some keys to this big game coming up, Super Bowl 59 on Sunday between Kansas City and Philadelphia, a rematch of the game 2 years ago. For our listeners in Richland Center, Southwest Wisconsin, you can hear the game starting with a pregame show at 1 p.m. on WRCL FM 100.9 in Richland Center. For the rest of our listeners, they'll have to find it elsewhere. And, of course, it's being televised on Fox this year. Break it down for us, Mike Clemens. What do we need to know?
You know, the Eagles. When you think of the Eagles, you think of Saquon Barkley, their running back, and their quarterback Jalen Hurts, and the receiver A.J. Brown, and a big offensive line. And Kellen Moore is their offensive coordinator. Vic Fangio, got to talk to him, their defensive. And oh yeah, by the way, Nick Sirianni, he's the head coach. but you learn that it's like in that first play against the Commanders had an 18-game drive, 18-play drive, and they had to settle for a field goal. Eagles get out, 1st and 10 from their own 40. They hand off to Saquon, and he just goes untouched for 60 yards and a touchdown on the first play. And we talked to him in the locker room after that, and he said, yeah, we ran a dummy call at the line. That's Coach Nick Sirianni. We'd run that play against the Commanders early in the season. We threw out that signal. They thought we were going right. We went left, and we got a touchdown. So that's the compelling part for the Eagles. They're also extremely physical. I mean, they really beat up on the Packers. Yeah. But it's the Chiefs, man. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. And they seem to solve the Rubik's Cube every year, and that's why they're 1.5-point favorites for Sunday night.
Yeah, it's such an interesting game. I watched both of the championship games, and when Washington went right down and scored, I'm like, well, here we go. But that just seemed to take everything out of them. I mean, some of the guys were going and puking on the sideline after that big long drive for the Commanders.
Yeah,
and the Eagles were off to the races. On the AFC side, now that was a game enjoyable as hell to watch. But you give me your opinion, Mike, as someone who's watched a lot more of these games than I have. I thought that the AFC game really came down to the talent and experience of Mahomes and the coaching abilities and the talent of Andy Reid.
It did. And, how about this for coaching up? Xavier Worthy, I was at Combine when this kid runs a 4.21 40. That's a road runner. It was the fastest time ever. Mm-hmm. And then you say, okay, the Chiefs have drafted him because they always get these speedy receivers like Tyreek Hill and others. And it's like, is this guy a track star or can he catch the football? Well, guess what? He led the team in catches in the AFC Championship to get them here. Right. Somehow those guys take those kinds of athletes and turn them in or get them into spots where they have a high percentage in productivity and can turn those guys in. And so now I'm talking to Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, who we thought the Packers were going to draft. Of like, yeah, he's going to be a handful to watch on Sunday. That speed on the outside for the Chiefs.
I know you don't make Packer predictions generally in Packer games. Do you want to pick one in the Super Bowl or just leave it to keys of the game?
I guess I'll leave it to keys of the game. I guess I'm going to lean that the Chiefs are going to pull this thing out. But, man, don't be surprised if the Eagles come out there, run some trick plays, and beat these Chiefs up. And it's entirely possible. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think that it's going to be a walk-away game. And, hey, the last time these two teams played, save that Jalen Hurts fumble and Nick Bolton scooping it up, that made the difference in that game just 2 years ago between the Eagles and the Chiefs. So I'll predict this. I think you're going to see a pretty good game.
I agree with you. I like the Chiefs just because I like to see the unprecedented three-peat. And I think if the Chiefs defense can shut down Saquon Barkley and with the coaching ability and experience with Mahomes and Andy Reid, I think that will be the difference. But I think it could be a 3-7-point game.
Yeah. So. And I'm assuming I'm going to go hit the buffet at least twice during the halftime.
All right. Mike Clemens, you're fantastic. Our sports reporter live in New Orleans. Appreciate it, my friend. Stay safe. Look forward to your reports on Civic Media. Stay tuned.
Todd. Have a good weekend.
You too. Stay tuned. More after this. Here, we'll come back and do a little what's worse? Super Bowl pizza involved. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Attention.
Whites are still off in the office. I haven't seen him come in or anything. I'll ask Corey.
Overuse or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary
or if he knows
therapy
if Sage
that
is going to
could
be back.
revitalize damaged
I mean,
tissue.
I'm assuming
This
we don't have to
approach
do anything.
can provide long-lasting relief
Right.
from pain in your
You can do what
knees,
you want,
shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 608-384-0897. That's 608-384-0897.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be
Cam says, I like to imagine Sage is the student in a blank white room and only speaks monotone. You guys go to the room to consult him and the door automatically closes when you leave.
Communications and infrastructure with cybersecurity, and they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team.
He's got the grow light that always goes on at night.
Not the kind you smoke, just the ones you look at.
For conflicts or humanitarian missions.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine.
21 past the hour of 1 o'clock on Friday, February 7th. Zombers on the board. Many thanks to Mike Clemens. How about that? There's a guy who just day in and day out, all he does is win and get it done and offer great insight, and just an all-around wonderful, wonderful person. Mike Clemens down there in New Orleans. He's a busy man, and we appreciate him carving some time out for us.
And just a very fun guy to talk with.
He is. He really is. Great guy to have a beer with, and also just extraordinarily knowledgeable, and the experience he brings, and we're so lucky to have him at Civic Media. So thank you very much, Mike Clemens. And of course, as we said, the Super Bowl 59 can be heard back at the old home station in Richland Center on WRCL 100.9 FM in Richland Center. The rest of our Civic Media listeners will have to find the game elsewhere. It is being televised on Fox as well. 22 past 1 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. And of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Once again to What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, just your chance to be heard. And what's better than that? Across all 11 stations in the Civic Media Radio Network, covering every major media market in Wisconsin. Zombers played a little bit of Italian pizza music. That is because timely indeed, as Mike Lucas likes to say, Super Bowl, as we've been saying this weekend, biggest Super Bowl food, pizza. So here we go. What's worse, pizza cut in squares or pizza cut in triangles? Pizza cut in squares or pizza cut in triangles? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. You can text squares or triangles. Squares or triangles. Give us a call as well, 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Go to the phone lines. Cam in beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin. Cam, what's worse, pizza cut in squares or pizza cut in triangles?
No, I'm going to ruin this one for you, actually, because I have an answer that I think will make everyone happy.
All right.
I used to work at a pizza place a long time ago, and
really?
I knew that if you go to cut the slices, typically people are doing triangle unless otherwise requested for squares. However, when I would call into a pizza place that I lived near, I would order it and have them write down to cut it into squares. And my order was pretty specific that they can't resell it to someone else, like as a mistake pizza, because sometimes that happens. They make a mistake when they can't resell it.
Right.
So they'll cut it into triangles out of force of habit, and then go, oh crap, we can't resell this. So then they make another and cut it to squares, and then they would give me both of them.
There we go.
Cam has beat the pizza system. Is that what it is, Cam? What would you order on the pizza that made it so specific?
Okay, I'm gonna release a secret to you guys.
All right.
A lot of places have this on a secret menu. It's a pink sauce. So, like, if you went to Papa Murphy's, for example, you could go there and ask them for pink sauce. What they'll do is take the 50% the Alfredo creamy garlic sauce. It's not even an Alfredo. It's a creamy garlic sauce. Take 50% of that and mix it with the red sauce together. And, oh, my gosh, it is, like, the best sauce.
Wow.
I swear by it. It's not anything weird or anything like that other than it's pink.
That now here now information people can actually use. A new secret in pizza making: order it with pink sauce, creamy garlic, and the regular marinara, whatever it is, the red sauce. Wow, this is interesting, Cam. All right, well, you've given us all kinds of hacks for Super Bowl Sunday. Many pizza makers will be angry you've done this, but I appreciate you sharing it with us. Are you gonna watch the Super Bowl, Cam?
I don't know a sports ball from a dribble ball. I don't
but
really
you'll enjoy
partake
pizza
in that stuff. But
right.
I'm glad people are enjoying. Yeah.
All right, very good. Thanks, Cam. Appreciate it. What's worse, pizza cut in squares or pizza cut in triangles? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Tony, watching on YouTube, says, I hate pizza cut in squares. You can't hold it the right way. Very strong language from Tony. But, yeah, I mean, certainly triangles, every piece has a piece of crust. It makes it easier.
Yeah, it does. And personally, I'm a big fan of crust on pizza. And so for me, squares are worse because you don't get crust on every piece. But at the same time, the pieces with crust are better on square cut pizza.
Yes.
Like if I had to choose, I would take every triangle, like every corner when it's cut in squares.
Right. Now, growing up as kids, when my mom was raising my sister and I as a single mom, we would just have one like tombstone or whatever frozen pizza, and she would cut it in the squares to make it, feel like there's more than really there, and makes the pizza go further.
It does.
If you're looking to make a pizza go further, the squares do make it go further.
It does, yeah. When you have a big group of people, squares are better because people can eat how much they need instead of having to take 3 or 4 slices when maybe they would only take the equivalent of 2.5.
Yeah, it's like finger food that way.
Right.
Listener on WAUK in beautiful Milwaukee, Waukesha says either. They can go either way. So there you go. Right down, cut it right down the middle, as they say. What's worse for your Pizza Bowl Sunday, your Super Bowl Sunday pizza? Pizza cut in squares or pizza cut in triangles? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Brian, listening in Milwaukee on WAUK, says it depends if it's thin or thick crust. Oh, all right.
I wonder which one is which, though. I'm guessing thin crust squares because that's like bowling alley style.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, could be. Well, but I don't know. I actually think almost the other way around, because if you have a thick crust pan style pizza, you don't eat that in a triangle, do you?
I mean, sometimes if it's cut in a triangle, I'll eat it
but
how
a lot
it
of times
is.
pan style pizza comes in a rectangular
I suppose.
pan.
I suppose that's true.
It depends on the pan. Now, how about play like Rocky Rococo's is famous for? Theirs just comes in like rectangles or whatever.
Or hearts on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. Valentine's Day coming up next week. You're going to be gone next Valentine's.
I have a hot date. Just kidding. I have a doctor's appointment.
It could turn into a hot date.
I hope not.
We have a hot date with Peter Rapine on the other side. By the way, I think that squares are worse, probably. I don't know. We'll come back with Peter Rapine and a weekend review from EPOM's World after this. Stay with us on the Civic Media Ready Now.
Pizza time.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic.
There he is, joining us from lovely Brooklyn. The one, the only. Looking very. All he needs is a bottle of wine and a French baguette today. Looks like an artist on the French Riviera. Not the Riviera of the Middle East, but the French Riviera. How are you, Peter?
I'm good. I'm going on vacation next week, so it's been busy. But I'm going to Mexico, so I'm going to go on a beach this time next Friday.
I'm so jealous.
And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. And yeah,
that's amazing.
I know.
For you.
It's much needed. The yearly get out of New York during February,
right?
It's a must.
Good for you.
Also, I think we're going to have an incredible show today.
Yeah, I saw some of the headlines. We've got some good stuff.
I'm looking forward in nervous anticipation. I got to look and
All
see
right,
what's
question, and I don't want you guys to say no, but can I say big balls?
You can.
You can say big balls, yes.
As long as you don't go into detail
I won't.
about
No.
describing big balls. So, no, I know it's the nickname of the
Big balls that you should have trimmed them up a little bit or maybe shaved out. We can't do that. We can't talk specifically about the details of his big balls.
No, we don't even know if his balls are. We have no idea about his balls.
It's just a claim. It's just a username.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, there we go. I'm going to get a drink of water real quick. Right back.
There will be figure skating, science demonstrations, the Frozen Assets 5K, and then on Sunday there will
Also,
be
Aaron,
over Lake Mendota, and people will.
I left a note in there for the second story, the woman in Pakistan. The audio on the two videos at the bottom of that post are like absolutely perfect.
I'm just
Maybe
chilling.
play the second, dude. It's so funny. Oh my god. The second one or the last one at the bottom might be a little shorter, where she like tells this guy to shut up, and he's speaking Pakistani, and she's like, "No one knows what you're saying." That might be a fun one to play first because it's like 12 seconds. But then the one above that, she cusses near the end. But the good part is like the first 30, 40 seconds of it.
Okay,
They're
sounds
both
good.
hilarious. Yeah.
I listened to him a little bit, and it's pretty good. So. I also watched some of the other videos for these, and a lot of them won't work on the radio, but there are good videos. So. Are you starting with the one at the top?
We'll take them as they are.
Sounds good.
President Trump speaks after a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister and announces the United States will now own sumo wrestling. So that's big news.
Own sumo wrestling?
I just made that up. But see, that's the point. We don't know anymore. We don't know if it's made up or not because anything's possible. You know, he could have said, look, Dana White wants sumo wrestling.
I'd watch. Celebrity sumo wrestling. Let's pitch that to NBC.
Right?
Choosing a florist for Valentine's Day for the best and freshest flowers.
Which living U.S. president will win?
And it's just a bunch of like canceled people. Ellen DeGeneres versus Louis C.K.
Kanye West and P. Diddy.
Oh my god.
Indoor golf with
That's good stuff.
events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's East Side. Blind Shot Social Club. Open to everyone. BlindShotSocialClub.com.
Looking to turn your valuables into cash this Valentine's Day? Gordy's Midwest Fine Jewelry and Coins is here for you since 1985. Look for the big green awning on the corner of 4701 Monona Drive.
Gordy buys your coins, gold, silver, watches, stamps, silver dollars, and paper currency. They buy, sell, trade, and repair, offering top dollar and paying cash for gold. Stop by today and experience the difference. Gordy's Midwest Fine Jewelry.
About 20 seconds.
Gracias.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. Now when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Wanna pull up tough cause you notice that butt was stuffed. Deep in the jeans she's
Welcome back
wearing.
to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 34 minutes now past the hour of 1 o'clock on TGIF edition, February 7th, 2025. Zommers on the DJ Aaron Zommers.
Well, we may not necessarily be talking about big butts today, but we're talking about a lot of other things.
Yes, exactly. Welcome back to the show. Glad to have you along. Now, this is exactly what we want to wrap up a tough week, right? There's lots of news, lots of things that bring us down. What we need is something to give us a laugh, a smile, to make us think, you know what, it's going to be okay. And there's nobody better than the managing editor of E-Bombs World, our ongoing contributor and friend joining us live from Brooklyn, New York, the one, the only, you know him, you love him, Peter Rapine. Mr. Rapine, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I think this week I'm really going to live up. I'm living up to the promise of bringing some dumb and funny stories. But I don't know if they're going to, I don't think things are going to be okay in the end. I know you said that. Things are going to be bad and they're going to get worse. But at least we can laugh at them and ourselves in the meantime.
So Peter Rapine has predicted, no, in fact, things are not going to be okay, but let's laugh on the way out. Let's just have some fun every day, right? And now here's a reminder, I think it's very, very important, that these are not stories that you and the good folks at E-Bombs World, you don't have a writer's room. People aren't coming up with fictional satire here. These are actual stories of actual real human beings, and your folks have scoured the headlines to bring us the stupidity of humanity.
Yes, everything we're going to talk about today is true. Even though we might not want it to be, it is. And we have to accept that fact.
We have to accept that fact. Very good. All right, here we go. Actual headlines from actual real-life goofy human people from E-Bombs World. You can find all of these stories and the headlines at ebombsworld.com. Peter Rapine, first headline.
So this story affects all of us. It's silly, it's dumb. Headline reads, a 19-year-old who calls himself Big Balls has your social security number. Now,
at 55
he doesn't
years
have
old,
it because he's a hacker.
At 55 years old, I never thought I would see a headline, an actual headline that read, a 19-year-old who calls himself Big Balls has your social security number.
And like I was saying, this is not some hacker that broke into AT&T or the government. This is a 19-year-old named Edward Courtesan who is a part of Elon's Doge team. And Big Balls is one of his is his handle, is his internet pseudonym. And so Twitter this week has been obviously making countless jokes about how some young kid named Big Balls, I see how many times I can say that, is not only has access to your social security number, but might also have access to the entire U.S. Treasury Department.
We've been talking about this in the serious part of the news all week, but the Doge stands for Department of Government Efficiency. It is a made-up thing. It's not an official government agency. It hasn't been created by Congress. It hasn't been vetted. Elon Musk just said, hey, let's create something called Department of Government Efficiency and call it Doge. I like to refer to it as Doggy.
Yeah.
Seriously, this 19-year-old kid who was an engineer for Elon Musk at either X or Tesla or something, he brings him in, a 19-year-old, And this kid now has our social security numbers and our personal information. And oh, by the way, if you want to know something about this guy, his online handle is Big Balls.
Which you kind of do have to have pretty big balls if you do want to go into the government and delete a bunch of contracts.
As Bill Rafferty on CBS Sports says, onions. Gotta have some big onions there. But usually, in my experience in the online world, Grindr or otherwise, if someone has a screen name called Big Balls, it probably doth protest too much, as they say.
And this is probably more of just a signifier for the future when we do have our first Gen Z president. It's going to be hard to find a candidate who doesn't have an internet history that's absolutely insane.
Right.
So this is a prelude to what we're going to experience in much wider, bigger in 20 years, probably.
All right, Peter Rapine, next headline. Here we go.
This is definitely my favorite story of the week. Headline reads, an American woman flew to Pakistan to meet 19-year-old internet boyfriend, got rejected, and is now refusing to leave.
An American woman flew to Pakistan to meet another 19-year-old internet boyfriend, got rejected by said boyfriend, and is now refusing to leave. Explain.
So this woman is from the Bronx, which is probably the funniest place she could be from, because clearly Pakistan was not prepared to handle a very outspoken, boisterous Bronx woman. Allegedly, she overstayed her tourist visa, was on her way to the airport, was in the airport, and then she made a scene. And somehow she's found herself in front of a ton of press. And so she held a press conference the other day on the street. And I think Aaron has some audio from the event.
All right, here we go. Here's audio from this event.
But listen, he talked too much. That's it.
Yes, that's it. Yes, I'm saying. ये भी देखे यही मेरी बात की तारीफ कर रही है.
Listen. You talk too much.
Okay.
We don't know what you're saying.
अच्छा, अब ये सारी चीजें हम जो आप अभी देख रहे हैं.
She is not taking crap for it. You talk too much. You talk. I mean, yeah, you don't want to take on a woman from the Bronx.
No. I think there's another one if we want to play it as well before we.
All right, here we go. Here's more from this impromptu press conference at a Pakistani airport.
Please come here.
Listen.
Please.
Be quiet. I'm not sitting down. My plan is to reconstruct this whole country, okay? I'm asking for 100K or more. I need 20K by this week, okay? In my pockets, in cash, okay?
Wow. She's putting it right out there. And you know what? She'll probably get it.
She might. Honestly, it seems obvious that the Pakistani media was like, wait, we've got a really cool story on our hands. We rarely ever have Americans who are refusing to leave our country. Right. And it seems like in that clip, there's 20 or 30 press around. There's 15, 20 microphones. This is their Super Bowl. They're going to milk her for all the clout they can get. And she, honestly, is going to try to maybe turn Pakistan around. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, now wouldn't that be a headline? Woman from the Bronx turns Pakistan around.
Yeah, she becomes the president or something. Right. But yeah, she got ghosted by her internet boyfriend, and now she's making all sorts of demands. Type of person that I think we should embody her energy going forward. All of us.
Absolutely. 42 minutes past the hour, talking to our friend, ongoing contributor, and managing editor of eBaum's World. You can find all these stories at ebaumsworld.com with a humorous look at actual goofy humans doing actual goofy things. All right, Peter Rapine, next headline.
Next headline comes to us from the animal world, where dolphins, headline reads, dolphins keep peeing straight up into the air and on each other, and we don't know why.
Now, I lived for a brief time, for a few months in Florida on Marco Island. I saw a lot of dolphins, but I never saw dolphins keep peeing straight up into the air and on each other. And we don't know why. Explain.
So some male Amazon River dolphins were filmed peeing on each other, on themselves. They're floating on their backs with their members sticking up in the air, just peeing into the wind. And as dolphins do, they like to like mimic each other. So a bunch of other dolphins have started to do it as well. And honestly, it looks like they're having a blast. We're not sure what they're doing or why they're doing it, but we do support their right to pee on their friends if they so desire.
We don't kink shame dolphins here.
No, we do not kink shame dolphins.
If this is true, and we have every reason to believe it is, they may change the sunset at Marco Island from the golden hour to the golden shower. That may be the new line down there at Marco Island. I've never heard of this, and you would think that somebody in the animal world who knows animals would. Zommers, wait a minute. There is video. There is actually video. Zommers is putting it up on the screen for me. There is actually. There's a lot of things I didn't know before seeing that video that I won't go into. But wow, as my former boss used to say, Google it up.
Google it. Yes, it's on the site. Go and find it. It's one that you have to see to believe. Yeah.
Go to eBaum's World, E-B as in boy, A-U-M, S as in Mary, World. eBaum's World, S as in Mary, what I said, S as in Sam, World. eBaum's World. Wow. I clearly got distracted. There's actual video. And you're right. They look, they're on their back. They're just chilling. They look very happy.
Well, I think dolphins get high. They're one of the few animals that like they will like poke certain pufferfish that have like a toxin in them, and they'll like play with them because it gives them like a little high. I think dolphins also are one of the only other animals that like has sex for pleasure. So dolphins are very smart, and we know this.
Wow.
So they're doing this for a real reason. It's not just I mean, maybe it's a goof, but it's not taken out of context. They actually are peeing on each other.
They actually are.
Which is not something I ever thought I was going to say.
It sounds like a party down on Langdon Street. Anyway, next headline, Peter Rapine.
This one comes to us from Colombia. Colombia's president says cocaine is just as bad as whiskey, and we're racist for banning it.
Colombia's president says cocaine is just as bad as whiskey, and we're racist for banning it. Explain.
So we had a press conference recently, and I'm not really sure where to take this one. I'm not sure if he's trying to boost Colombians' exports. I know Colombia has obviously been at war with the cartel in their own country for a long time, so I'm not sure where he's coming from this. Maybe he, needed a little pick-me-up that morning. But yeah, I guess we're racist for, scheduling cocaine as a Schedule 1 drug. So maybe the Doge team can look into that.
Right. I'm not sure. Yeah, it seems a very odd thing, but in the article here it says, well, according to the Colombian president, it's because the drug is made in Latin America and we Americans are just being racist. After all, in his eyes, it's no worse than a little bit of Jack Daniels. I mean, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Are they upset because the economy is doing bad and that's where they make a lot of money? I don't know.
Yeah, jury is out on that one.
It sounds like Don Jr. will probably be taking a trip down there to do research very soon. All right, Peter Rapine, next headline, about a minute here before I have to take a break.
Okay, some dudes in New York stole a subway train and took it for a joyride.
Some dude stole the subway train and took it for a joyride. Explained in 30 seconds.
Yes, a bunch of kids, I guess, found a train on a track unoccupied, and as young kids like to do, they hopped on board, put it in gear, and I think they took it not very far. They probably took it like 4 stops. I don't know if they picked anybody up on their route, but they did have, I think they lived out a dream that many young men have also had of stealing either a fire truck or a train or backhoe.
Sure. People are just
but,
sitting around going, wouldn't it be cool to steal that?
It would be fun.
My favorite line in the story E-Bombs World, there's a hell of a lot of cars, and some of them are quote unquote shockingly easy to steal. So I mean, apparently, you can just next time you're in New York City, just hop on a train and here we go. I want to know though if they pick somebody up, like you said. Come on back.
Yeah.
We're going to pick it up with Peter Rapine of E-Bombs World, the week in review, and wrap things up right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Little in the middle, but she got much back. Little in the middle, but she got much back.
Nice whip at the end. That dolphin video, there's a lot of stuff going on there. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I remember I think I was in 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, and we were watching not YouTube videos, but like Discovery Channel videos about animals, and everybody had different ones assigned to look at. And one that was not assigned, but that the person I was sitting next to and I found on the website was about dolphins and sex, and went into detail on their genitalia and.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
As it turns
they also
out.
talked about ducks. It was we just could not stop laughing in the computer lab.
What do we know what Mark wanted to say?
Oh, he was calling about cocaine. About his personal. No, I'm kidding. About how it was, over the counter or in Coca-Cola, and how people would chew on coca leaves. He's like, up to you if you want to take it. Yeah.
Tell him thanks, but we got other headlines to get through.
Sounds
so,
good.
yeah, thanks.
Which cocaine also is Schedule 2. It's not even Schedule 1 because it has applications in some nasal surgeries. It'll dilate it right up.
I bet it will.
I remember learning that when I was a pharmacy tech, and I was like, are you kidding me? Cocaine is not even as illegal as marijuana.
That's incredible.
That is maybe the president's onto something then. Yeah.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe. All right, 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is now 9 before the hour of 1 o'clock. Coming up at the top of the hour, ABC and CBS News, followed by, depending upon which station you listen to, and then followed by local news in your area, weather and sports with our great sports reporter live from New Orleans, Mike Clemens, who is kind enough to be on this program a little bit earlier. And then the Maggie Dawn Show every afternoon from 2 until 4. Maggie Dawn, 2 until, or probably 4 until 6 then. The Dom Salvia Show, I understand Dom is taking the day off. And Jim Santel, one of our great hosts for the attorney show on the weekends. Amicus is going to be in the host chair, the guest host chair from 4 until 6. That'll be fantastic. And then we got Pete Schwaba, who has been feeling a little under the weather, but I think he might be back. We'll see tonight, or maybe not. Anyway, it'll be in addition to the Pete Schwaba Nightlight Show with Conrad from 6 until 8, and then Rick Smith Across America, and our friend Robert Pilot with Native Roots Radio. Right now, we are joined, as we are every other Friday, for the Week in Review by the managing editor of E-Bombs World, found at ebombsworld.com, Mr. Peter Rapine, with wild and wacky headlines of things that actual humans actually do. Peter, by the way, Peter, are you going to be watching the Super Bowl this weekend?
Probably not. So I'm flying to Mexico Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
All right. I'm not a big football guy, so I'm not too bummed.
Yeah.
But I'll be on a beach instead. So
watching dolphins.
I'm gonna. Hopefully not.
All right, very good. I still think that's the best story of the day so far. Go ahead. Next headline, Peter Rapine.
All right, next headline. It turns out you can get a VIP table at Popeyes.
Wait, what? Turns out you can get a VIP table at Popeyes. Explain.
Yes. So when in clubs they sell bottle service, and another aspect of that is like a VIP section where they'll bring out a big sign, often with like sparklers, and maybe it's like a birthday celebration, or you just won the Super Bowl, and it'll be bottle girls all scantily dressed with champagne, and they make a big party of it. Well, you can do that.
Clearly, Peter's been to some of these, but go ahead.
No, I'm not. But you can do that, except you can do it at Popeyes, where they come out with a sign, and instead of champagne, they come out with boxes of fried chicken.
You're not making this up. This is real. Now why haven't we learned this before? Oh my God!
I don't know.
Again, there's a video attached to this. This is incredible.
We have the physical proof.
Yes. Now, does every Popeyes do this?
See, that is what I was going to say. We're not sure where this happened or if this is something that you can get from every Popeyes. It's probably not going to hurt to go to your local Popeyes, show them the video, and ask if they can do it for you. But we don't know where it happened. We found it on TikTok, and it is way better than any VIP table you can get at a club. Looks more fun, probably a lot cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be cheaper. But you're not these are a couple of young ladies apparently that work at Popeyes, and they're like in a gymnastics leotard with fringe on them, like in a chartreuse green color. And they look like ringside girls with signs, and then they have bottles what looks like some sort of beverage, and buckets or boxes of chicken. Do we know how much this costs, Peter?
We don't know how much it costs. But because whatever the price tag is, I would say. Yeah.
We are going to check out our local Popeyes here in Madison, because if this service is available, what a fantastic way to do one of our segments for what's the weekend review than at a Popeyes, right?
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. We should try. Yeah.
All right. Next headline.
All right. So this one comes to us from China, and it's another animal based story. And we've talked a lot about China. I think we had one story about a man dressed up as a monkey that you could feed in a zoo.
Right.
There was a story about a guy in a panda costume. We've had a number of these stories. This one, a woman dressed as mermaid gets bit by big fish.
Woman dressed as mermaid
in
gets
China
bit by big fish. All right.
So an aquarium in China does like a interactive event where they have this woman dressed in a mermaid costume, and they put her into the tank with all the fish, and she swims around, and it's supposed to be like a fun thing for the kids. Well, one of the big fish tried to take a bite out of her head, or tried to bite her head clean off. And we have video to prove it. The kicker, though, the funniest part is that she was compensated by the aquarium with $100 gift.
$100? That's all she's worth is $100?
That's all she got. It was $100.
I'm watching this video that you attached to the story at ebombsworld.com. It's spooky. I mean, you've got the girl, the woman in the mermaid, and it looks like a small shark. It's obviously not, but it's just kind of floating by, and then all of a sudden, bam! Just goes right after her head.
It is definitely larger than she is.
Oh yeah. I mean, it looks like the fish tries to he gets at least the crown of her head in his mouth, and then he just kind of spits her out.
Yeah, the fish tears off her goggles. She gets her head out of its mouth pretty quickly. But I think she left with minor injuries to her face and neck, sadly. But I do commend China for trying to come up with new ways of putting people into exhibits, whether it's fake or real or whatever. Whenever they do it, we'll find it and we'll share it.
Thank you. This will be much better halftime entertainment for the Super Bowl than what we're going to see this weekend. Women, how combined you could have a woman and a fish getting bit in the head and peeing dolphins.
No.
Right there. That's a halftime
Yes,
show.
bring out the peeing dolphins. Yeah.
All right, Peter, thank you so very much. All these stories are at ebombsworld.com. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up, even if it's peeing dolphins. Keep banging your drum. See you next week.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Safe travels to Mexico, my friend. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Adios. And goodbye, everybody on the stream.
Bye-bye, everyone.